welcome back to another video from me, that running girl. It has taken me an hour and 20 minutes to drive a journey that should have taken about 35 minutes because the traffic was so bad today. And now I've parked in a really bad place because there's a person doing like learning to drive in a car opposite me. But realistically, they're probably feeling worse than I am because they are trying to do a parallel park into a car parking space. Is it parallel park or is it, I don't even know what they're called, I can't even remember. Like park into a bay, backwards park into a bay, I don't know. Anyway, I am at the track now because it's Track Tuesday. And on Sunday I ran my 21st marathon. As you can see, I have got my Abingdon Marathon 2016 t-shirt on. So any guesses what time I ran? My PB previously, which was the marathon PB I set in April, was 3 hours 22 minutes. And at Abingdon I ran 3 hours and 17 minutes. So I was thrilled about that. And the best thing is, I didn't even find it that hard because of the training I've been doing recently. I honestly felt it really comfortable and really like at ease, and I really could have gone faster. The only reason I didn't go faster is because I really wanted a comfortable marathon. I wanted to feel good the whole way round. I didn't want to hit the wall. I didn't want anything disastrous happening. So I ran 3 hours 17 minutes 11 seconds. No, 3 hours 17 minutes 11 seconds. And it's steamy in here, if it's so steamy. And yes, that was a PB for a PB by 5 minutes in here. I get so paranoid when I'm in the car park. By 5 minutes, so I was really pleased about that, and that equates to 7.30 minute mile. It's worth noting that the Abingdon Marathon course is flat. There's like a slight incline that you have to do twice, but other than that it's pretty much flat, and conditions were ideal as well. It was cold, but shall I put the light on? I don't know whether that's made any difference. It was cold, but not that cold, and the sun came out and it was relatively still. It was a bit breezy, but like I wouldn't have said it was windy. I've run in much sort of breezier conditions. The main things that I did to help me get that 5 minute marathon PB, and take into perspective that I have run around the sort of mid 320s mark on a marathon for a number of years now. I've run 322, 323, 324, 326. And then after that, like, I don't know, 330, 332, 336 to when I was slower. But yeah, I was stuck in a kind of rut on my marathon time, so much so that I was actually thinking about giving up that distance and just focusing on the half and 10 mile and 10k and getting faster at those times, because it got to a stage where I was like, I don't know whether I'm ever going to match my faster times up to the half and 15 mile to my marathon time. And that really frustrated me because it felt sometimes like as a runner I was getting to a certain stage in the marathon and I was just surviving. I wasn't actually running beyond like 15-16 miles, and for me that's it. First, it's not enjoyable, and secondly, it's not reflecting the kind of running standard that I have been used to in all my shorter distances and all my training. So I was really pleased to match that up. Like I said, the things that I did differently to actually get that PB included, obviously I know that not everyone can move and train on different kind of courses all the time, but because we moved and because I am running on much hillier terrain now, that helped a lot. I was doing my longish runs. So for example, I did 2 long runs in preparation for the marathon, and both of them were only 15 miles long, but because they were 15 miles on hills, it's almost like that translated to, I don't know, like more on the flat. So it might have translated to sort of 17 or 18 miles on the flat, I don't know, but the hills were really testing and I'd got those 15 miles done. And because I went from hills in training, long runs, to flat in the race, that really translated and gave me so much confidence. Once I'd gone past the halfway mark, I honestly felt like, not that I could sort of put my foot down, although I did have some fast miles between 14 and 19 miles, but it really gave me the confidence that I had that endurance and that I had that kind of stamina under my belt, and it obviously paid off. And it was really nice in the last portion of the race to be overtaking so many people who had gone out too fast, because I really tried to hold myself back for the first half of the race. I wanted to jog, sort of take it really steady, jog my sort of jog natural pace up to sort of 19-20 miles, and then I just wanted to hold on and see what I had left in the last 10k, and I really wanted to finish strong. So I managed to run the entire thing, other than I stopped at each water stop to take a cup of water, and then I stopped to stretch my legs out for maybe, I don't know, 10-15 seconds at about 22 miles and about 24 miles. I only found it difficult physically and mentally from about 23 miles in, and I really think that's down to the hill training, running hills on medium long runs up to 15 miles, and obviously I do a track session once every 2 weeks, which I actually found the marathon wasn't as difficult as my track session. So the intensity of the track session, although it's much shorter distance, it teaches you to become really uncomfortable, and it teaches you physically and mentally to just push beyond how you're feeling, and that for me is absolutely key in the marathon, which is the absolute test of endurance. Also hills, long runs, speed session, and just keep your consistent mileage week in, week out. Don't be sort of skipping sessions here and there, and make sure you taper right for you. Personally, I don't taper that much. I ran a little bit, I reduced my mileage a little bit in the week before the marathon, and on the Friday, instead of running, I swam 32 lengths, and then on Saturday I rested completely, like I do always before a race, and then on Sunday I ran the marathon. And on my midweek mileage, so many learner driver cars around here, am I like parked in the wrong car park? On my midweek mileage I reduced that down to 7 from like 9, so it wasn't a massive difference what I did in training the week before. And personally, I find for me it is easier for me to run a marathon and have the sort of, just have the familiarity in my legs of what I've been doing sort of week in, week out for 10 years or so, than to just cut down completely and then just feel like a slug on race day. So yes, it went really well. I had a few supporters on the course, a few people that knew me because it was a local marathon, and I had my partner on the course at the start of one of the loops that you lapped around twice. So I saw him at 11 miles and also again just before 20 miles. And I took on water and 3 vegetarian Percy pigs, which are like little gelatin-free sweets, just for the sugar hit, and a few sips of full sugar Coke. But I didn't take on anything else, because I feel in the marathon it's almost like a kind of eating competition. You're kind of juggling between, it's a real fine line between eating enough and drinking enough and taking enough on, but then offsetting that with not making yourself sick, because personally I can't take much on when I'm running, especially distance, and with something not messing with my stomach. So that was a real concern as well, so I was glad that I got that sorted. So yes, my next race is going to be on Sunday, which will be a 10k women's only race, again quite a local one to me that I've run a few times before. The treadmill engineer is coming out on Friday as well, so I'll let you know how that goes. And tonight I'm doing a track session. I did a recovery run of 2 miles this morning just to see how my legs were, and I managed to do that at 7:30 and my legs felt fine. So I feel completely fine after the marathon. I often feel like when you have a really good race, you just feel better, not only in the race but afterwards as well. When I've had shocking marathons and marathons that I've done that have gone so wrong that I've just taken like 4.5 hours to run. You know, if 4.5 hours is what you can do in a marathon and that's your capability, that's great. But for me, that's not my capability. So when something goes wrong and I'm running that time for a marathon, it's very hard for me, because I feel like it's almost, when you're taking longer in a marathon, I feel like it's harder because you're on your feet for so much longer. And I need to get this one. Hello? Hello? See yourself? Yeah, I feel like it's much harder when you're on your feet for that much longer. So for me, even though it was a PB by 5 minutes, I felt like it was maybe the easiest marathon that I've done because I was so well prepared. So yes, good for me on that one. Anyway, my track session is going to be a pyramid session tonight, and I love pyramid sessions. So it's 200 meters, 400 meters, 600 meters, 800 meters, 1000 meters, 1200 meters, 1000 meters, 800 meters, 600 meters, 400 meters, 200 meters, with 200 meter active recovery. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got 4 layers on. I've got obviously my sports bra, and then I've got a Nike Dry Fit vest, and then I've got a long sleeve Nike golf top on because I didn't know it was a golf top, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't have like golf balls all over it or anything. And then I've got my Abingdon Marathon shirt on, and I've got my tights on today as well because it's freezing. So hopefully, I'm hoping my friends turn up to this one actually, because a lot of my friends did the Abingdon Marathon on Sunday, and I think I'm the only one possibly crazy enough to do this session tonight. So I hope other people do turn up and I'm not kind of like on my own, but I'm sure they will. And yes, I hope you're all running well. Remember to follow me on Instagram. I will insert the link here. And I'm going to wipe the windows down now because it's gone really steamy and it looks like I'm up to suspicious acts in my car. So thank you again for continuing to subscribe, and I hope you will congratulate me, not Condracula me, on my PB, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Just got back from track, and I just realised that the video that I made earlier on when I was in the car, I offered a lot of practical tips about the marathon and how I got faster and how you should do a speed session and a hill session and a long run, but I feel like I didn't really give much of a kind of any fighting talk advice, and how you should really sort of maintain that desire to run a fast time in the marathon, because let's be honest, the marathon is such a tough distance to master, and it's such a tactical race that you really do require something special inside to run the marathon fast. And I'm not saying that my 3:17 was like the fastest thing ever, because it wasn't. You know, it was a fast time, a fast-ish time, but it wasn't like the fastest time ever. But I feel like with the marathon, you really have to really want it. You have to really sacrifice things to be able to run a decent time in the marathon. And by that I mean it's 20 to 9 at night now, and I have just got back from my track session. So for example, I drive 40-mile round trip to my track session to run like 2 or 3 miles on the track at high intensity, and I do that every Tuesday evening or every 2 weeks. And most people wouldn't want to drive a 40-mile round trip to do that. Most people would just think, oh, sod it, I'll just run outside or I'll just run on the treadmill. But it's those kind of sessions and that kind of uncomfortable intensity that is going to lead you on to better things. And like I said, you have to just really want it. It's all about the grind, and I sound like an Instagram tag now, but it is about the grind factor and realizing how hard you want to push yourself, and realizing how much desire you have to actually reach your goals, and how much you're going to push yourself to accomplish that. And a lot of people do find it too hard. A lot of people do find it too challenging, and that's why not everyone has run a marathon. That's why not everyone has run 21 marathons like I have, or run a super fast marathon like a sub 3 like some people have. So I just thought I would leave you with that note on the sign off and ask, how bad do you want it?